My name is Steve Nonn. I'm your Madison County Coroner. A lot of people don't know what the Coroner's Office does, so the first thing we do is we start off with the duties and responsibilities of the County Coroner are many and varied, but in essence can be described as the investigative arm of the Madison County government concerning deaths of an unexpected, violent, or criminal nature. The Coroner is notified when the death warrants investigation and works in conjunction with the criminal justice system and the medical community as an independent authority to investigate deaths. The Office of Coroner by Illinois state statute is a law enforcement agency. Each coroner shall be the conservator of the peace in his county, and in the performance of his duties as such shall have the same powers as the sheriff. Lincoln hates to hear that, but it's the law. This is just a little bit about me, if you don't know. Okay, I have an associate's degree in criminal justice from SWIC, a bachelor's degree in administration of justice from McKinley College, 26 years at the Madison County Sheriff's Office, spent 21 years in investigations, 20 years as a St. Louis Major Case Squad, and I left there as a deputy commander for the Major Case Squad. That actually should be updated. I'm on my 16th year now as your Madison County, Illinois Coroner, which actually means I have 42 years total experience in law enforcement and
Oh, yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I'm doing way too young to have 42 years in law enforcement.
That was exactly what I was thinking.
But that's the case. I can't believe it myself sometimes. I'm here today. We're going to talk about the epidemic of prescription drug abuse and more specifically heroin abuse. It is racking this country. There are more people dying now every day of heroin or prescription drug abuse than on our nation's highways.
Wow. Wow.
So here's your CDC analysis shows 38,239 people died from a drug overdose in the United States in 2010. Okay, trust me, that's 6 years ago. The CDC isn't really up on staying current with their statistics, but that gives you an idea of what's going on here. 105 people die each day from drug overdoses in this country. 105. Which means during, of course, I usually do this in a 2-hour presentation, but 8 people will die during a 2-hour presentation that we give when Kelly and I talk to middle school people. This has got to get your attention. Prescription painkillers are being overprescribed in the Metro East and Greater St. Louis area. In Madison County alone, per capita use of painkillers in 2014 was 126 pills per man, woman, and child. 126 pills per man, woman, and child living in Madison County. These are pills as Vicodin, hydrocodone, oxycodone, narcotic pain relievers. We have a prescription drug problem, ladies and gentlemen, in this country and in this county. These are because doctors are overprescribing. I'm not going to get so much into that updated statistics. We're going to talk a little bit about heroin, how it affects you if you use it, and how it's such a highly addictive drug. There's an immediate addiction. The brain receptors are changed the first time you use this drug, immediately changed. It's telling your body, you need this drug, just like your body's telling you you need oxygen to breathe. It's being marketed to kids by dealers as cool to use. You know the old thing where you saw people in an alley with a band around them shooting it up with heroin? That's not true anymore. This stuff is so powerful that's coming into this area that they can snort this stuff. So they're making it like Hollywoodish, you know? It's cool. And they are targeting our youth. No one is immune from this epidemic. All segments of society, race, color, age, well, doesn't matter. We have had deaths as young as 16, as old as 69. This is an extremely hard drug to recover from, no matter how bad a person wants to quit. The brain is always signaling to them that the drug is needed. So this particular addiction is a lot harder to fight than other types of addictions, okay? And it's even more dangerous because you don't know what you're putting in your body. As I tell people, there's no Angie's List that you can call and say, hey, this drug dealer that just gave me my heroin, has he delivered that drug to anybody that's died? You know, you don't know what you're putting into your system, but I'm telling you now, what's coming into this country, coming into this Metro East area, is now fentanyl mixed with heroin. And fentanyl is 10 times more powerful than heroin. But we're starting to see that now coming into this county. And so people now are dying not only of heroin, but fentanyl overdoses. So how bad of a problem do we have? Here's your statistics from 2009. 2009, we had 7 heroin, 35 total drug overdoses. 18 the next year, 60 total. 2011, 26. Look what happened in 3 years, guys, ladies and gentlemen. 7 deaths, 18 deaths, 26 deaths of just heroin in 3 years. And as they're going up, your total drug overdoses are going up. Those other drug overdoses, those are prescription drugs. The alleged safe drugs because a doctor prescribed them. Doctors are over-prescribing these drugs. They can hurt you. Prescription drugs can hurt you. Prescription drugs can get you addicted. This is the message we're trying to tell people. 2012, we had 21 heroin deaths, 62 total. 2013, 24 heroin deaths, 53 total. Look at 2014. 26 heroin deaths, 92 total drug overdose deaths. Just in Madison County. Crazy. 2015, look at the heroin deaths. 43. We almost doubled the highest number we'd ever had up to that year. 43 with 75 total drug overdoses. 2016, that was as of April 25th, we had already had 10 with 23 total overdoses. Well, let's do this now. We're in 2016. We're up to 48 as of yesterday. 14 heroin, 7 we've confirmed, 7 we're still waiting for tox. Heroin plus fentanyl, I just told you about it. Now that's coming into the area. We've already had 4 of those deaths. We've had 5 fentanyl only. Fentanyl is a prescriptive drug that your doctor can prescribe to you. So we've had 14 total prescription overdoses. Again, 7 of those were confirmed. We're waiting for toxicology results to see about the others. Other illicit drugs, total of 1. That's 2 cocaine cases we're looking at. Huffing, everybody know what huffing is? That's when you take dust off, that you use to blow the dust off your computer screen and you put it into your mouth and you blow it in and it takes away your oxygen and gives you an effect of being high. We had a death. Where was that at, Kelly? Here, wasn't it? Just told me. The guy was on a parking lot. He just went in and bought 3 or 4 cans of dust off. Was huffing. I think it was here.
I think that was Alton.
Or Alton, North County. How about deaths associated with prescription drugs? Total 1. This is a guy that already had heart disease, and he exacerbated by the use of oxycodone intoxication. So we put that down as a death associated with the drug. Deaths associated with heroin, 1. This was an asphyxia hanging, suicide, due to the guy being addicted to heroin. You know, these people, they get to the point where they don't see any future. They live day to day to get that heroin high. And here's the problem. When they first take it, they do it to get the heroin high. But as they become more addicted to the drug, they're not taking it anymore to get high. They're taking it to stay away from the effects of when you're coming off the drug, which are extremely horrible effects. I mean, you're sick to your stomach all the time. You have diarrhea. You have high fevers and chills, and you feel like bugs are crawling all over you. And so they're not taking the drug anymore to get high. They're taking the drug now to avoid the effects of coming off of the drug. And that's what gets them addicted to it. And it takes more and more of that drug to keep them off of the downside of the coming off the drug. So we have an epidemic, I think, don't you think, guys? You know, if we go back, and I told you that we had 43 people die of Zika in Madison County, we'd all be in a panic, wouldn't we? We'd be demanding that the CDC get in here and hurry up and start doing some quick research and get a drug that would stop the Zika. But because it's the drug community, people aren't as outraged. But you should be outraged because this is in your community. This is happening right here in Madison County. 43 people died 1 year of just heroin, 97 all the way around. But it touches every one of us. It's just not friends or family. Let me tell you something, and if this doesn't bring home how serious this problem is. Kelly and I talked along with Patrolman Chris Coyne of the Detroit Police Department, Dr. Carrie Caritas, vice principal in Collinsville, and Tom Gibbons, our state attorney. We go into middle schools and high schools, but I'm going to talk about middle schools. And we've talked to over 18,000 students since we started this program in 2009, trying to make them aware to stay away from this drug. In middle school, I ask, and we're talking, there'll be 200 or 300 students in these conferences that we attend. Raise your hand if you know anybody that has overdosed on a drug. Over half of their hands will go up. This is middle school, people. Can you guys remember when you were in middle school? How many people did you know that died or just overdosed on a drug? So then the second, I put your hands down. Second question, how many people do you know that have died from a drug overdose? Up comes a hand, about a third. Middle school. When I asked the same question in high school, it's half and almost half that they know somebody that's overdosed and half that they know somebody that's died. Anybody in this room know anybody that's overdosed? Yeah. Look at this. Right here in this very room. Got a problem. And here's the other problem. How does this affect me? Well, I don't have anybody that's died. I don't have any relatives. I don't have any friends. I don't have any neighbors. This doesn't affect me. Oh yeah, it does. Anybody here had their cars broken into? Homes broken into? Robbed? Because they run out of money, they're going to find the money. So because of their addiction, the crime rate in the community rises up. You guys are paying more money for your merchandise at your Kmart's and your Walmart's and your Targets. Why? Because they're shoplifting. And so the retailers add extra money to cover the cost that they're losing when people are shoplifting there. It's affecting you. You're paying probably $5 more for an item because of that. People who are under the influence are driving cars and coming at you. And this is a situation we can't arrest our way out of this problem. We just can't throw everybody that's addicted to a drug and put them in jail. Because number one, we have absolute knowledge now that this is an addiction. It's an addiction just like alcohol addiction or any kind of addiction. This is a disease that we're dealing with here. And you're not going to solve a disease by arresting people, putting them in jail. Look at this. This was just April 18th. Driver overdoses on heroin behind the wheel in St. Anne, strikes a couple pushing a stroller. So I mean, I'm just trying to reinforce to you all in here that this heroin issue does affect you, whether you think it does or not. Here was a hell of a musician. And look at what he was abusing. We just talked about fentanyl, didn't we? And he dies of a fentanyl overdose. So what are we doing here? What are we doing in Madison County to try to combat this problem? Well, I call it we're teeing off on it. Treatment, enforcement, education. The treatment being we are supporting legislation for insurance companies to cover treatment costs and quicker access to treatment centers to expand the use of the drug Suboxone that is used in the treatment in the addiction of heroin, and Narcan, which can actually immediately bring a person out of an overdose situation. They're actually overdosing and they're dying. You shoot them with the Narcan and it brings them right back out of it. Okay? There's not enough out there right now. When these addicts actually have that moment of clarity and they want help, they need help then. But when they're calling and finally seeking the help and told they've got a 3-week wait before they can even get into the facility, trust me, that little moment of clarity is not going to last in 3 weeks. So we're doing what we can to afford a treatment for these people. And it's almost a crime the way the insurance companies deal with this. Because you get so many treatments and then you're done. You've had your 10 treatments, you have your 12 treatments, you're done. This is a disease. They don't do that to you if you're a cancer patient. If you go to cancer and you get your treatments and then the cancer comes back, they don't say, well, you already had your first round of chemo, you don't get any more. But they do that to drug people. And their success rate's not really good, people. We've dealt with families that their kids have gone into treatment 8, 9, 10 times. And sometimes they end up on my autopsy table. Sometimes they end up being recovered. But it's a very expensive process, very expensive. We have dealt with families, swear to God, people, who have gone through their life savings and cashed in pensions trying to get their children into treatment and have lost everything trying to get their children help. And then what's the end result? We're knocking on their door, telling them that their child is dead. We are trying to step up in the enforcement because, again, the people that are dealing this drug are dealing, I call them dealers in death. They are death dealers. There was a time in law enforcement that if we went to the scene of a drug overdose, it was kind of a secret high five, amongst the cops. Hey, one less person out there breaking into cars, sticking a gun in your face, breaking into homes. But we're a little bit smarter in 2016, and we do realize that these people, number one, have an addiction. They have a disease, and they were loved, and they are loved. That person laying on that floor or laying in that farm field has parents and grandparents and brothers and sisters and friends that are going to deeply be affected by that person's death. So we need to be outraged when somebody delivers the drug that kills that person, and we need to go after them. So when we go to drug overdose scenes now, if you would go by that scene, you would think that a homicide occurred because it's going to be cordoned off, there's going to be crime scene tape, CSI is going to be taking photographs, we're going to be seizing computers and phones as evidence, getting search warrants, so we can get into those phones. Why do you think we're taking the phones?
Find the dealer.
Yeah, who do you think probably the last person on their dial is? The dealer. So if we can identify the dealer and prove that the dealer delivered that drug, then we're going to try to charge him with, homicide. So that's the second plan. We are stepping up our efforts to go after these people. And finally, education. And that's why I'm here today. I'm here today to make the community aware. As an elected official, it's my job to make you aware when you have a problem in your community. And that's why I'm here today. We have a problem, and it's a big problem. And they are going after your children. They are going after your grandchildren. That's who they're targeting. That's why we've spoken to 18,000 students in Madison County since 2009, because that's who they're targeting. Even though all these overdose rates continue to go up, the good news for us that we can kind of hang our hat on is nobody in the age groups that we've been talking to and lecturing to have died since we started this program in 2009. So we think we're being effective, that we are at least planting the seed in the young people how dangerous this drug is, how addictive this drug is, and you need to stay away from this drug. Because about 21 and up now is what we're seeing in overdoses, not the 16, 17, and 18-year-olds. So that's where we're at here. I don't know where I'm at time-wise, but Kelly Rogers is my chief investigator. There's a couple of photographs here we just want to show you. Kelly, if you want to continue on. I'm doing great.
I'm scared.
But what this does is hone in on the drug community. You have a situation, in this situation here, this is a death scene in the Falto, correct? This was people who actually, we got a hold of their cell phones. These are parents, and how old was the baby?
This baby was actually a newborn. I'm sorry, and I apologize. This is actually a Granite City case.
Well, that is the Granite City case?
Yeah, this is the Granite City case. This is a mother and father who had a newborn baby. Thankfully, the one good thankful part of it is they lived with her mother. Her mother hears the baby crying. She's thinking, why isn't anybody taking care of that baby? She goes upstairs, finds them both deceased on the bedroom floor.
Was this a text
This
message
is a
that
text
they
message.
scored the child?
Yes, the female decedent sent a text message out that said, hey, to her friend, guess what? We scored China White, which is a street name for heroin. The friend immediately texted back within a matter of a minute and a half and said, don't touch it, that stuff's killing people. So
They apparently touched it. This is what happens when you have friends in the drug community. Best friends forever. This is a case where the kid overdosed in a car. with his friends in the car. If they would have taken him to a hospital, he would have survived. The only thing they would have done is given him a shot of Narcan. But because they didn't want to be associated with a drug overdose and have to give statements to the police, they simply went up to a farmer's field and dumped him out. He was alive when they dumped him out. If they had taken him to a hospital, he would have lived. This is the culture of the drug community. This is their thought process. It's not about getting help from my friend. It's, I don't want to deal with the police. And again, our job is to educate, and so we're educating them that in Illinois, there's a Good Samaritan law, and that if they would have gotten him help, we would not have charged them. If you call 911 and get that person help, you won't get charged. But apparently they didn't know of the Good Samaritan law. Just another case. Let's dump them out of here. I don't want to give them help. They dumped him in a cemetery. This is right behind a middle school in Troy, Illinois. You can actually, in another view, see the middle school. This was his best friend. They had been best friends since like 5th grade. Instead of getting him help, they pull up in that cemetery, dump him out, and off they go. And actually, the guy that dumped him out there in that field died himself of a heroin overdose 2.5 months later, about?
Yeah.
About 2.5 months later. So the guy that left him in the field died 2.5 months later. And we're going to end this. I just want to show you, and we won't play this whole thing, but this is what a person looks like that's actually under the influence of heroin. This is what somebody who may be driving a car coming at you looks like. This is why you should be concerned. And pay particular attention to this woman's little daughter that's trying to help her out. This is on a bus or subway?
This is on a subway train.
This is what they look like when we call it on the nod, when they're actually under the influence. This is the little girl taking care of her mother instead of the other way around, isn't it? Gee, don't we all want to take that drug? Look how much fun we're having. That's all this drug does, is suppresses your respiratory system. And that's why you die. It suppresses it to the point where you just stop breathing. That's good enough, Kevin. Chief, I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to addressing this group today. I hope that you come away a little bit more educated, a little bit wiser about what's going on. We are very much about, especially in-home medications when you don't need them anymore and they're narcotics. Something maybe the dentist gave you for some tooth pain and you still got some laying around. Don't be leaving them unattended so your kids can walk into your medicine cabinets and get them. We call it being an accidental drug dealer. When you leave these drugs available to them. They're all drop points throughout Madison County that you can take your unused narcotic medication. We're not talking all medication. You don't have to bring in your stomach medicine. But if it's a narcotic, if it's an opioid, you need to get rid of it. You've got a drop box right here installed. It's just like a mailbox. Open it up, drop it in, and you've gotten rid. You won't become an accidental drug dealer. So that's the important thing. The second thing about drug abuse, especially prescription drug abuse, is please know that you guys are in charge of your own bodies. You know, just because a doctor says, here, take this, here's 30 Vicodin, you know, you've got the right to say, I don't want 30 Vicodin. How about giving me 15 Tylenol 3s? And then if I can't stand the pain, let's step it up. But let's not go from the lowest to the highest. And that's what's happening. They're starting at the highest, the most potent pain medicine that they can give you instead of starting low and then building it up if you're experiencing pain. People just think because the doctor says it must be so. You're the final say in this, guys. You're in control of your body and what goes in your body. Remember that the next time a doctor tries to give you 30 Vicodin because you have a toothache.